Good morning. My name is Tim Miller, and my pronouns are he and him. First, I want to acknowledge Ron and the music he played this morning. He says he's bringing music today from his sabbatical trip to Oaxaca, Mexico. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Mexico, yes.
Okay. On behalf of this congregation, I welcome all to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Native tribes. Whether you have joined us online or are here in our sanctuary, we are glad to have you with us in this sacred time we choose to be together. We are an open community of learning, caring, and justice making. You are welcome here, every part of you, just the way you are. Our congregation is served by our minister, the Reverend Jamie Dingus. She is available by contacting the Office for Pastoral Care and to answer questions about Unitarian Universalism. If you are a newcomer, please sign our guest book in the foyer to receive our weekly email newsletter. In the foyer, underneath the name tag display, are hearing assist devices available for anyone who needs them. Please take a moment to silence your electronic devices. And I will acknowledge that we have an extra one up here that arose during our preparations this morning. Somebody, and if it's not silenced, it may just be going off. I don't know. We shall see. So if it is yours, you might sneak up here and get it at some point. Okay, so if you have a joy, sorrow, or important milestone that you would like shared during our Circle of Candles and included in the pastoral prayer, there are white cards in the pew rack in front of you that you can write them on. And then you place them in the offering basket when they're passed. For community news, check our email newsletter, website, and the paper insert in your order of service. The announcements we have this morning are just a couple. One is a reminder that our Share the Plate, being the first Sunday of the month, this month is, again, with New Futures Incorporated. It is a charity that it helps families in need of homes and shelter and food. Also, we have an announcement that I'm going to let Brad Korb do this announcement.
Good morning. I'd like to bring your attention to the insert in your order of service today related to the Alabama Hispanic Association Christmas dinner and party that's coming up this Saturday. So this is the last week for that. This Saturday at noon is when we'll be feeding more than 100 disadvantaged Hispanic people in North Alabama. But we need your support. We're still about $1,500 behind on where we'd like to be for the gifts for the youth. So today is your last day to give for that so that we can start buying those gift cards. You can put a check in the offering basket. If you put AHA gift in the memo line, then we'll make sure that goes to the right place. Or you can also donate online using the QR code that's on the back of your order of service, and again, select AHA gifts. Please contribute if you're able. Like I said, we're still about $1,500 behind where we'd like to be to provide gift cards for the youth. We still have some available sign-ups also for food. There is a sign-up sheet in the fellowship hall, and you can also sign up online. There's a link in the newsletter. If you have any questions related to the dinner coming up Saturday, please see me or Gail Williams. Gail, will you raise your hand? Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. And this is an opportunity for everyone to help us show our generosity toward those less fortunate, and also to support a community that kind of needs a little extra support. Okay, so another announcement. We do have a potluck today after church. So whether you brought something for the potluck or not, you are welcome to stay for it It will be in the fellowship hall after the church service. And so you're invited, everyone's invited to stay for that. And now we have the bowl ringing, which okay, well, Jamie's going to do it for me. Okay, great. I forgot to get somebody to do that. Thank you, Reverend Jamie. Finally, having gathered in a shared quest for truth, meaning, and purpose, let us light our chalice with these words by Rebecca A. Edmiston Lang. Come into this place. Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. From here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassion is expected. Come into this place. Together, we make it a holy place. And now let us enter into this morning's service more deeply with music for centering, followed by our thread song, which is number 88 in the gray hymnal.
Good morning, friends. Yes, nice. Welcome in. My name is Reverend Jamie Dingus. My pronouns are she and her, and I serve you as the minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville. Thank you for joining us, whether you're in person in our sanctuary or joining us online on YouTube. Thank you for being here for this time where we share our hope and our gratitude and our presence with one another. Everything in you is welcome here. As we gather, let's center in with these words from Linda Barnes. Suspended between all that was and all that might be, we struggle to find this very moment, to live in this very moment. Let us sit together and savor this moment. Let us relish this between time where past meets future. Let's harbor a faith that reminds us that right now, right here, is enough. And as we begin, we remember that we are entering a time of year where the earth grows colder, the animals begin to hibernate, and the days become continually shorter. This morning marks the beginning of the season of Advent. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year, recognizing the transforming power of God in the world and looking forward toward the birth of Jesus and the celebration of spiritual light. And Christianity is not alone in celebrating light at this time of year. Hanukkah, solstice, Kwanzaa all involve candles, fire, and light as part of the celebrations. And each week until Christmas, we will light a new candle on the Advent wreath, this circle of evergreens along with candles. The flame of each new candle will remind us that something is happening now. Something more is still to come. The light of Advent grows brighter and brighter, guiding us toward personal peace, shared joy, and more love. This morning, Tim will light our first candle. We light this candle as a symbol of hope and expectation. May we dare to open the shadowy places in our lives and memories to the healing light of community. With the creative power of hope, we express our longing for peace and prepare our hearts to be transformed. Now let us rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn. It's number 349 in your gray hymnal, We Gather Together. It's a song of thanksgiving that gathers us back from our travels and time with others and family. Let's rise in body and spirit to sing 349. Each week following our first hymn, we remain risen and sing our doxology and speak in unison our words of aspiration. Our doxology in English and in Spanish, and those words are on this blue sheet in front of you. And when we get to those words of aspiration, it's our practice to turn and face one another, speaking them as words of commitment and community. Let's sing. Let be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. And now you may be seated, and I'd like to invite our children and youth and anyone who'd like to come forward for our story for all ages to come on up, led this morning by our Director of Religious Education, Jess Zelaya. Thanks, friends, for coming forward.
That was dramatic. I love it. I love it. Good morning. This month, we are exploring the practice of presence. Now, I know many of us are excited about the winter holidays, but to be clear, our theme is about the practice of presence, not presence as in the practice of giving gifts, but the practice of presence, as in being aware and present in the moment. So today in our RE groups, we will get through this lens of paying attention to the gifts that of life has already given us, and that we are waiting for us to notice them. So with that in mind, I want to share a wisdom tale called Peter and the Golden Thread. Yeah. You and Avery's birthday is in 4 days. That's so exciting. Wow, double birthdays. Okay, so Peter was a young boy who could never live in the moment. When he was in school, he dreamed of being outside and playing. When he was outside playing, he dreamed of his summer vacations. Peter was constantly daydreaming, never taking the time to savor in special moments that filled his days. One morning, Peter was out walking in the forest near his home. Feeling tired, he decided to rest on a patch of grass, and eventually he dozed off. After only a few minutes of deep sleep, he heard someone calling his name. "Peter, Peter, Peter," the shrill voice came from above. And as he slowly opened his eyes, he was startled to see a striking woman standing above him. She must have been over 100 years old. No, it's not Spider-Man. And her snow-white hair dangled well beyond her shoulders like a matted blanket of wool. In this woman's wrinkled hand was a magic little ball with a hole in the center. And out of the hole was a long golden thread. "Peter," she said, "this is the thread of your life. If you pull the thread just a bit, an hour will pass in seconds. If you pull harder, whole days will pass in minutes. And if you pull with all your might, months, even years will pass by in days." I don't know. Peter was very excited by his new discovery. "I'd like to have it if I may." The elderly woman reached down and gave him the ball with the magic thread to the young boy. The next day, Peter was sitting in the classroom and feeling restless and bored. Suddenly, he remembered his new toy. He pulled a little bit on the magic golden thread, and he found himself playing in his garden. Realizing the power of the magic thread, Peter soon grew very tired of being a schoolboy and longed to be a teenager, with all the excitement and phase of life would bring. So again, he held the ball and pulled hard on the golden thread. Suddenly, he was a teenager with a wonderful girlfriend named Elise. But Peter still wasn't content. Instead, he dreamed of what adulthood might offer him. So again, he pulled hard on the thread, and many years flew by in an instant. Now he found that he was transformed into a middle-aged adult. Elise was now his wife, and Peter was surrounded by a house full of children. But Peter noticed something else. His once jet black hair had started to turn gray, and his once youthful mother, which whom he loved so dearly, had grown old and frail. Yet all of these new circumstances soon bored Peter, and he found himself dreaming and wondering about what the next stage of life might bring. So once again, he pulled on the magic thread and waited for the changes to appear. Peter now found that he was a 90-year-old man. His thick, dark hair had turned white as snow. His once young wife, Elise, had also grown old and passed away a few years earlier. His wonderful children had grown up and left home and led lives of their own. For the first time in his entire life, Peter realized he had not taken time to embrace the wonders of each stage of living. He had never gone fishing with his kids or taken a moonlight stroll with Elise. He had never planted a garden or read those wonderful books his mother had loved to read. Instead, he had hurried through life, never resting to see what was good along the way. But he couldn't wait for what was next. He never noticed the amazing things waiting for him in the present. Peter became very sad at his discovery. He decided to go into the forest where he used to walk as a boy to clear his head and warm his spirit. As he entered the forest, he noticed the little saplings of his childhood that had grown into mighty oaks. The forest itself had matured into a paradise of nature. He lay down on a small patch of grass and fell into a deep slumber. After only a minute, he heard someone calling to him. "Peter, Peter," cried the voice. He looked up in astonishment to see that it was none other than the old woman who had given him the ball with the magic golden thread many years earlier. "How have you enjoyed your special magical gift?" "At first, it was fun, but now I hate it," he responded bluntly. "My whole life has passed before my eyes without giving me the chance to enjoy it. Sure, there would have been sad times as well as great times, but I haven't had the chance to experience either. I feel empty inside. I have missed the gift of living." "You are very ungrateful," said the old woman, "but I'll give you one last wish." "I'd like to go back to being a schoolboy and live my life over," Peter quickly responded. Then he returned to his deep sleep. Again, he heard someone calling his name and opened his eyes. Who could it be this time, he wondered. When he opened his eyes, he was absolutely delighted to see his mother standing over his bedside. She looked young and healthy and radiant. Peter realized that the strange woman from the forest had indeed granted him his wish and that he had returned to his former life. "Hurry up, Peter, you sleep too much. Your dreams will make you late to school if you don't get up right this minute," his mother admonished. Needless to say, Peter dashed out of bed and began to live his life the way he had hoped. He went on to live a full life, one rich with many delights and joys and triumphs. But when it all started, he stopped and sacrificed the present for the future and began to live in the moment. So this story is a wonderful reminder to slow down and be fully in the moment so that we can notice the many gifts and the present joy the present moment is trying to offer us. And it is such an important lesson to remember this time of year. You see, oftentimes we move into the winter holiday season, our society tells us to focus on what we are going to get. It's all about preparing for the parties to come, the moments we will share later, the fun we will have in a few weeks. And in doing so, we become like Peter in our story, always dreaming about what's to come and rushing toward it. By focusing on what's to come, we often miss the gifts we already have, the gifts that we have been already given to us, and that lay scattered almost everywhere we might look. So in the weeks and days ahead, may all of us, children and adults alike, may we remember that our faith invites us to practice slowing down and pausing to notice the presence of treasures already here and already given to us. What did you think about this story? Yeah, Alexis. So you think it was good and we should slow down, and you're already in 5th grade and you wish you could slow down already? Yeah. Because we love your ball? You should take time to enjoy your ball now while you have it. Okay. Yeah. You didn't realize, so take time to realize how young you are now, because you'll get old and not realize it. Okay. So let us now focus on the moment at hand and sing our children out to their classes.
We are the Unitarian Universalist Church of Huntsville, a proudly inclusive spiritual community. Together, we build a broader search for meaning, a broader form of compassion, and a braver voice for justice. If you would like to support us with a monetary contribution, we would be grateful. Your generosity helps us to keep the utilities on, maintain our buildings and grounds, run our various ministries, pay our staff a fair wage, and support organizations that share our UU values. And today you have really kind of a choice of what to write on your check. So to donate toward the Hispanic, the gifts for the Hispanic dinner, gifts for children, just put AHA gifts on your check. If your check is for your pledge, then write pledge on your check. And if you don't write anything, then it's going to be share the plate, which will go to, half of which then will go toward the New Futures organization. So, and you can donate online using the QR code on your order of service, which gives you those options, by the way. At least it gives you the AHA, and it gives you the pledge, and it gives you the open, share the plate. It doesn't say share the plate, but it does that for this Sunday. Or you can put cash or check donations in the offering baskets. Make sure you put the completed white Circle of Candles cards in the offering baskets as they come around. Also, you're invited to come forward and drop a stone into the water, the bowl of water right here, as a gesture toward items that you hold in your heart, whether they be joys or concerns or gratitude. It is through your generosity that we serve our mission here at UUCH. So with gratitude, we now receive the offering.
Will you join me now for our time of meditation, reflection, and prayer? Spirit of love, God of our hearts, be with us in this time as we share with one another what is most important. Our joys, our sorrows, our important milestones. In community, we share these joys from members. LaDawn Edwards shares that she is preparing to list her house and move closer to her stepdaughter to help with her health problems. She is so thankful to have this loving, supportive bond with this amazing young woman. What an exciting time for you. Blessings on this transition. Our friend Edgar Flores shares, after being laid off and months of job searching, I'm excited to share that I've secured a new role in my career field, grateful for the stability this brings and ready for the opportunities ahead. Congratulations, Edgar. And as we hold our joys, we also hold sorrows too. This morning, Holly Baker and Peyton and Macy shared that they lost Holly's dad, Jeff Lesher, on Thanksgiving Day. They ask to be kept in your thoughts and hearts this week as they navigate this change. Holding our joys, holding our sorrows, and holding all that has yet to be said, silent and important here too. Let us take a breath. We honor what has been shared. We hold each other in this sharing, and we remember that love and compassion knit us together into beloved community. We hope for a world transformed by our care. And we say together, blessed be and amen. Let's sing in response hymn number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. It's in your teal hymnal. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Earlier this year, as I was looking towards my upcoming sabbatical, I wanted to know what sabbatical felt like on your end from the congregation's perspective as a way to help prepare myself and you for this time that I'll be away. And so I reached out to a lay leader at another UU congregation that recently had their minister go on a sabbatical. And so I'm going to invite forward Susan Coddington, our board president, to share these words from Barbara Lynn, a lay leader at the UU congregation in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Thanks, Susan.
Hello. From the First United Universalist, let me start over again. Hello. From the First Unitarian Universalist congregation of Ann Arbor. I am Barbara Lynn, she wrote, a lay worship leader at UUAA, and it is my pleasure to share with you my thoughts about sabbatical gifts. Our senior minister, the Reverend Manish Mishra Marzetti, returned about 5 months from a 5-month sabbatical in April of this year. While there are many practical issues that must be addressed and prepared for during the sabbatical time as sabbatical time approaches, everything from Sunday services to pastoral care to administrative tasks, I would like to speak to the spiritual growth and renewal afforded to both the minister and the congregation during and after sabbatical leave. Our spiritual yearnings and journeys feed and sustain us in myriad ways. Reverend Manish describes himself as a spiritual hummingbird, flittering among various practices and traditions. I see this image, though charming, as inexact. In truth, Reverend Manish has traveled widely to study deeply in the traditions that call to him. He has been to Peru to learn about shamanic teachings, engages in regular Buddhist practice, and explores the Lakota tradition under a Lakota shaman. Raised Hindu, he was baptized as an adult into the Christian faith. He has strong ties to leaders and mentors, healers and shamans across disciplines. This is no hummingbird in my book. Rev Manish takes more than a casual sip from the spiritual cup. Such deep and abiding practice requires energy, commitment, focus, and renewal. It isn't a garment that can be donned or shed like a minister's stole, but rather a firmly rooted way of being. If we imagine a life drawing on hidden reserves as one pulls water from a well, a sustaining spiritual practice feeds that well with, to borrow a beautiful biblical image, living water. And it is that living water that a minister seeks to replenish during a sabbatical leave. So in a sense, Rev Jamie will set out into the desert clutching a dividing rod with which to search for the hidden spring for all of you thirsty for, whether you have named that thirst or not. She will return to you with clear, cool, pristine water from deep within. As with all things spiritual, these gifts are ineffable and will reveal themselves in their own time. I can compare Rev Manish's return as a sort of a reverse culture shock. Those unexpected surprises I found upon returning to this country after years spent living abroad. This time, as back then, I found life to be eerily and comfortably the same, yet manifestly different. While Rev Manish's return brought with it a strong and welcome return to the status quo ante, to our communal life and family, it was not without discernible shifts in both perspective and energy. In the pulpit, Manish was bold and direct, and we were primed and hungry for that leadership. In meetings and other casual interactions, there was a notable relinquishing, a letting go, a shifting into a new dynamic. This is and was subtle and hard to express. Even so, it is palatable. These adjustments were possible not just because of Rev Manish's own journey, but also our own. We did not freeze in time during his absence, but moved forward through the church calendar, gathering to worship, to mourn, and to celebrate. Sometimes these activities unfolded in new and different, even uncomfortable ways. And yet, the coffee was brewed, the meetings held, the hymns sung. New patterns emerged as folks found ways to reorient themselves within the community without their accustomed leader. As the months went by, people learned they didn't necessarily have to wait until Manish got back. An empowering discovery. I urge you to pay close attention during Rev Jamie's sabbatical, for if you do, I believe you will find new ways to respond to, experience, and participate in your life and community. You too will be dousing for water to replenish in the communal well. And that will be your gift to Rev Jamie at the end of her road. These can be hard journeys. You set out seeking renewal only to find weariness, frustration, and even boredom. You pursue dead ends, you get lost. Your discoveries may be unexpected, even unwelcome. Perhaps you will have to rewrite your story. And that, too, is a gift. For at the end of the journey come the nights around the campfire, and we speak ourselves anew. Barbara Lynn.
I'm so grateful that our tradition is filled with these generous lay leaders, and in particular to Barbara Lynn and the UUs of Ann Arbor, Michigan, for sharing so generously with us about the challenging and hopefully enriching experience we're about to embark on together. Friends, My first 4 years at UUCH have been an extraordinary beginning to settled ministry. I visited Huntsville in February of 2020 when we were just starting to talk about this virus thing that was spreading in China and other parts of the world. And sitting in a circle in Barbara Hitt's living room with no masks and no thought of the risks, I answered questions about the ministry I felt called to bring here in Huntsville. And together we imagined how the leaders of this congregation and I would share that ministry and expand the presence of loving, progressive faith community in our town. Arriving to Huntsville 6 months later, it was clear that we would all need to reimagine what that presence of loving, progressive faith community would look like in that moment in time. In the midst of a global pandemic, how could we be present to each other's lives, to each other's stories and faith needs? Through a screen? Well, the answer was we did it, and we did it imperfectly, the best way we knew how. Teacher and spiritual leader Thich Nhat Hanh writes, "When you love someone, the best thing you can offer is your presence." How can you love if you are not there? The most precious gift we can offer others is our presence. When mindfulness embraces those we love, they will bloom like flowers. And so, with that wisdom in mind, we had to figure out a way to find that presence and share that presence. And so we began to find our way through those scary first few years together. I'm grateful to you and your leadership in that time, for those of you who organized phone trees to call and check in on each other, for all of us who learned fast how to worship online on YouTube with those PowerPoint presentations that Susie DeLacy decorated, faithfully each week. We created policy after policy geared at offering as much presence as we could while still keeping one another safe. We met in small groups, outside and at a distance, sharing lunches across outdoor tables in the front yard. We sang hymns and played our ukuleles on the back porch in the summertime. We mourned the life of one we loved dearly in an outdoor memorial service, our first time gathering in person in nearly 2 years after I arrived. You see, we understood the necessity of that presence, that being with one another, and found our way towards each other despite the challenges and the real important need for distance. And now, please don't misunderstand the connection here. My planned 4-month sabbatical from January to May will not be the traumatic, no end in sight nightmare that the pandemic was. But the pandemic taught us so starkly, so powerfully, the importance of presence. Unable to be present with each other in normal ways, we had to learn to adapt and show up for each other and share our love in new ways. And I think that's where the comparison can be drawn. When I'm gone, in my absence, you will need to remember just how important it is to be present to one another and to our congregation. As Barbara Lynn explained with her beautiful metaphors of water and wandering in the desert, this is my time to set my presence with you down. And in this space, I'll be shifting my presence. I'll be present to my inner spiritual work, my family and friends as Will and I celebrate our marriage, my thoughts and practice of UU ministry and worship as I visit other UU congregations and see how they do worship well, my understanding of our Alabama civil rights history as I travel around the state to learn more of that rich and important story. And in response, you will need to shift your presence even more intentionally to the life and relationships of this congregation. So how might you practice presence while I'm gone? Maybe you will shift your presence to a ministry of welcome. You'll make it an effort to get to know our new members and visitors. You'll ask them to lunch. You'll welcome them into your home. You'll show your love through presence and attention, knowing that the growth of our community is a shared endeavor. Maybe you will shift your ministry to a ministry of care. Our sabbatical minister, Reverend Ruth, will be on call for all the serious pastoral care needs we may have as a community. But the casseroles and the get well soon cards and the phone calls, just because we were thinking of you, that was and is still yours to do, led, of course, by our excellent care team, Melody and Nancy, and all the others who participate in that. But remember, our care for each other is a shared endeavor that we each need to be present to in this time. Maybe you will shift your ministry to a ministry of presence in our stewardship process. I'll be away through our upcoming budgeting season, and I trust that each of you will support our stewardship team and answer their calls and their emails and engage in our transparent financial process. We believe that how we raise money and how we share our money and save our money and spend our money is reflection of our community values and our faith put into action. It's a shared ministry process that we will be present to in that time. And maybe you'll find a way that I haven't even thought of yet to embody presence, something unique to you, a niche that you can fill. You'll find a need or a passion that suits your gifts and interests, and I will return and hear of the creative ways you showed love and commitment and you practiced connection and presence in my absence, and I will be so inspired and grateful and proud of you for this endeavor we've shared. Friends, my great hope for you in this time of sabbatical is that you feel each other's presence so much more intensely than you notice my absence. In fact, I kind of hope you don't notice it at all, right? I hope you find spiritual renewal and transformative challenges in this time. I hope you learn things from Reverend Ruth, things that I might not know, things that might help you understand yourself and your faith and your world differently. And I hope that you get a sense of satisfaction from how smoothly and confidently you're able to navigate this time. And I hope you're ready, because when I come back, I intend to bring a whole new level of presence, perspective, and passion to our shared ministry. I'm hopeful and grateful for your trust in me to lead you for these first 4 years, and for your trust in me to leave you for 4 months and then return. And I look forward to the months and years of shared ministry that will come after that. And so now, for the next few moments, I'd like you to center into yourselves and think about how you might commit to being present during this sabbatical time. Give yourselves a chance to think, bring to mind what that niche might be, that unique way that you will be present to others. What are your hopes? What are your fears in this time? Take a moment in yourselves to think and reflect. I look forward to hearing those hopes, those concerns, and all those ways you might practice presence when I'm gone. You can catch me after in the potluck and tell me then, or shoot me a note this week, or we'll find a time to connect and talk more deeply about it. And I'd encourage you to start those conversations amongst yourselves as well. How will you own our shared ministry and be present to one another while I'm gone? Friends, I know that this congregation is going to sail through this time of sabbatical with love and connection and compassion. I trust you. I'm confident that you will make it through well. And I know it may feel a little scary or a little challenging at times. Thank you for being brave through it. Thank you for being open to the perspectives and wisdom of our sabbatical minister, Reverend Ruth, who will help guide you in my absence. And most of all, thank you for being present to one another. It is through your presence that UUCH will thrive. Blessed be, and amen. And will you rise and sing with me our closing hymn? It's not right in your order of service, so let me tell you the number a couple of times. It's actually 323 in your gray hymnal, Break Not the Circle. 323. We had a little too much turkey here in the office this week, and it just got missed. But 323, Break Not the Circle. Let's rise in body or in spirit to sing together.
Let us now take a moment to extinguish our chalice with these words by Michelle Collins. Changes abound around us, within us, between us, in our communities, our neighborhoods, and our beloved faith communities. Changes abound. May we each find the balance point we need as we move through our ever-changing world. The balance between the old and the new, between the known and the unknown, between the familiar and the perhaps bold and risky possibilities that may be there waiting. And yes, we are going to miss you.
Thank you, Tim. Friends, our worship service now comes to a close. I will be at the back of the sanctuary to greet you, and each of you are invited to stick around after the service for coffee and conversation and potluck. Please come and eat, whether you brought something or not. You are welcome, and we want to spend our Sunday afternoon with you, sharing in fellowship. For now, I'll close with these words from Scott Taylor. May awareness lead you on your way. May you always be where you are, free from the quicksand of the past and let loose from the imagined fires of the future. And may you always hear the precious present calling you home. Amen. Blessed be, and we'll go out singing our rite of community, Be Thou With Us. That's 1039 in the Teal hymnal. Blessed be, amen, and go in peace.